German soldiers with their steel helmets and their death head emblem. Okay, I want to show you the German soldiers' death head
This emblem is
emblem.
like a symbol. It's like
It
something
is
that symbolizes someone or something else.
exactly their death head matlab skull emblem. Emblem is like a logo. Okay, so this is their logo right here, and their steel kind of helmet. Okay, let's get back. Still, our first impressions of the Germans were rather reassuring. Isn't it so ironic and so funny that despite the fact that we've heard these things about the Germans, despite the fact that the Germans have ended up doing those things that they thought were not possible. Like they thought it wasn't possible that they are going to enter Sighet, and yet they entered Sighet. Similarly, they are kind of thinking that now, despite the fact that they're wearing skulls on their head, the Germans seem really nice. They seem reassuring. They seem perfectly well and good. So that's interesting. Okay, so then what happens? The officers were billeted in private homes, even in Jewish homes. Their attitude towards their hosts was distant but polite. Okay, now where were these German officers living? They were living in private German homes. Sorry, Jewish homes. Like, isn't it so weird? Why do you think they chose these Jewish homes to live in?
Just to find out more about the Jews, or maybe
Exactly. So they are given homes. They are given homes in amongst the Jews themselves, and they must have made a special request that we wanted to billet it. Billeted meaning like given a home. Yes, Hubert.
I think the reason why they want to host the German soldiers is so that they can gain their trust and so that they won't be attacked by the German soldiers once they show their hospitality.
Okay, now we don't know who has billeted them. Actually, the thing is, it's not like the Jewish people themselves have said, come in our homes. It's not that. When you're billeted, you're basically the government gives them a home. So it's not these Jews' choice that come in and live in our house. But I think this was a very, very interesting strategy. The thing is, the Germans clearly have some influence over the government of Sighet, right? They have some influence over the government of Sighet. They're like going to the government and saying, listen to us, you will listen to us, you better listen to us, that kind of thing. And then they must have made a special request that give us the Jewish homes to live in. And like it's like they are going to attack from within the homes. That's the worst thing. Like usually when you have bombs and you have a lot of these kind of terrorist activities and stuff, they do it outside of their homes. They do it in public places. They never do it inside like neighborhoods where people live. So that's exactly what's actually happening here. That they are doing it inside. They've kind of made. Remember, you never also hurt women and children. You never hurt women and children.
Ma'am?
But yes.
Ma'am, I didn't understand why they took the Jewish homes.
Okay. See, firstly, you have to understand that the Jews themselves, जिनके घर हैं, they have not allowed them. It's billeted का मतलब ही ये है कि government ने जो Sighet की government है have like allocated these houses to these German officers. Okay, so it's not the Jews' opinion. It's not their choice. Okay, now we want to say why on earth did the government then give it to give the Jewish homes to the Germans? Well, it seems like because it's so ironic, because it seems so coincidental, it's almost like it's not a coincidence. It's almost like they did it on purpose. The Germans, the bad guys, are telling the government that give us these homes. We want to go in the Jewish homes. Interesting. Now, why? Okay, first let's see, before we answer why, let's first see how they're behaving inside of these Jewish homes. They were really nice. They were really polite, distant, like not like going inside of them saying we want to eat with you, we want to do this, we want to see you every day, but being nice. They never demanded the impossible. Now I wonder what the impossible is. They made no offensive remarks and sometimes even smiled at the lady of the house. So they're not asking for anything crazy. They're not saying we want that if you like we want you to leave Judaism. We don't want you to be Jews. They didn't say anything. They didn't even say anything rude. No offensive remarks. A German officer lodged, meaning lived, in the Khan's house across the street from us. Okay. Now, again, We know Elie is living here, and the Germans are getting closer and closer and closer and closer to Elie. Elie himself is a Jew. So maybe they can also come and live in his house, right? But they are not living in his house at the moment. No, they're not. They're living, however, on his street. Okay. No, across the street from us. Yeah, so like on the street, pretty much. Now, Khan's house. We were told he was a charming man, this German officer. Really nice, really like pretty nice. And you know that these Germans, they really like good looking people because they were all about how people looked. They were about the blue eyes and the white skins and the blonde hairs. So you can imagine that these German soldiers must be very nice to look at. So nice, calm, likable, polite.
But that is the Khan. The Khan has these qualities, not the Germans, because they're referring to him.
No. No, they're talking about the German soldier. You'll see it here. Okay, so it's the German soldier that they're talking about. 3 days after the German soldier was billeted or moved into this house, he brought Mrs. Khan a box of chocolates. Like, that's how nice he was, this German soldier, to the Jew. The optimists were jubilant. The optimists. Who are the optimists? The optimists are those people who are being very optimistic that, look, nothing's going to happen to us. No. The Germans are not that bad. Come on.
The bright side of things.
Exactly. The people who are looking at the bright side of things, so they are so happy. They're like, see, didn't we tell you? You think if they are bringing you chocolate, they're going to be rude to you? Like,
so they just try to fool. In reality, the Germans are trying to fool them.
Yeah, now you want to remember this, that because this
they're trying to earn the trust of the Germans, then they'll betray them.
Yeah, you want to understand this. Why? Because of the fact that Zunaira has put forward this question that why did they go into the Jewish homes? Firstly, the Jews didn't have a choice, so the government has kind of just forced it upon them, and the government is clearly in cahoots or like together with your Germans, and the Germans are now treating them pretty nicely. And what are the optimists saying? They're saying, well, what did we tell you? You wouldn't believe us. There they are, your Germans. What do you say now? What is their famous cruelty? Are they really being that rude? Are they really being that cruel? The Germans were already in our town. The fascists were already in power. The verdict was already out. And the Jews of Sighet were still smiling. And you see, that's what he's saying. That Elie is saying that this is the state of Sighet. Germans in power, in town, fascists in power. Remember, fascists are the Russian people. The Russian people who also believe in Nazism, who are like the Nazis, but they call themselves fascists because they're in a different country, okay? They're in a different country, so they call themselves fascists. And there are just some small differentiations between fascism and Nazism. Just a few different, small differences.
It's like a sect.
Yeah, like just think about it. If you're like a Sunni and a Sunni Shia have like quite a few differences, but I would say it's like being a how a Hanafi and a Shafi'i and a Maliki, that type of thing. Like you're a Sunni, but then you're like within one of these sects. Like if let's say you believe in one of these sects, so it's like that kind of a difference, or let's say a difference between a Lahori and an Islamabad person, or a Lahori and a Karachiite, something like that. Okay, so the fascists are like that, and they're just of a different country. The fascists are in power. Everything, the verdict is already out. What do you mean the verdict is already out? Meaning the judgment is out. Meaning people know what's happening. That is out in the public, and yet the fools, the humbugs, the complete suckers meaning fools of Sighet are optimistic, are happy. They're smiling. Like he's saying, what was wrong with us? That's kind of seems to be the reflection when he writes this book. What was going on up here with us? What was going on? And yet you always want to believe the best. You always want to believe no matter what. And I've seen this, that when someone's ill, no matter how bad that illness gets, you're always like, even telling that person, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's going to be okay. No. It's going to be fine. No. It's just a test to raise your ranks in heaven later on when you die. Not today, of course. much later, some other days, some other time. No, that's not how it works. Sometimes people die. Okay, now, and sometimes they don't get better. So the 8 days of Passover. Okay, now I'm going to tell you what Passover is. So let's just have a look. But before we do that, let's see what's happening on the 8 days of Passover. We're going to talk about Passover. Passover is basically a religious thing of Judaism in Jews, like Hamara Eid hota hai, right? We have Eid. So I'll show you. In fact, let me just show you now. So Passover is kind of like Eid, except it's not Eid.
It's like a Jewish celebration.
Yeah, it is a Jewish celebration. Okay. It celebrates the exodus of the Israelites from the slavery in Egypt, which occurs on the 15th day of the Hebrew month of Nisan. And you can see that, let's in fact see the pictures of them having. And the 8
It's
days.
because they're the followers of the Torah, so they like believe in Musa alayhi salam, except that they've corrupted their religion.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to tell you about Exodus again. You can see it's all about, sitting, it's about hymns, it's about sermons. You
It is
can see
celebrating the day when their ancestors got freedom from the Pharaoh.
Yes, exactly. Look at this. This is also like, like a really old picture where they're eating and drinking and they're giving thanks to God. So that's what it's all about, like the Passover. Okay, now, and there are 8 days of Passover. Actually, now I'll tell you what. Remember they're talking about the Exodus. Exodus means the kind of the exile, or you've left this place. So if you know, according to our Islamic tradition also, Prophet Moses, he was living in he was part of the Bani Israel tribe, and
They were
he was
under the
living
tyranny
in,
of Pharaoh in Egypt.
yes, they were living under the Pharaoh. They were living under the Pharaoh, and the Pharaoh was really bad, right? And he was like really difficult with them, to the point that they eventually had to, like, they were saying the Pharaoh was going to kill them and all that, and he was saying, don't follow God, don't follow Allah, follow me. I'm God.
He thought of him as a god, and he made all the Israelites his slaves.
Exactly. And then what happened? There was this moment where Prophet Musa was given the command. Okay, it's not like Prophet Musa just went whenever he felt like. He was given a command by God that, okay, now is the time that you need to leave. And then when they started to leave from Bani Israel, they then went. I don't know where they went.
To the
They
Red
went
Sea. They went towards the Red Sea, and the Pharaoh he followed them.
Yeah, we know this part. We know this part that I don't know exactly where they settled, but I'll tell you a little bit about that. Wherever they went, initially there was the Red Sea in between, and that's a very epic moment. That's like a very historical moment, to the point that it's even given in the Quran. Those particular moments are snapshotted in the Quran, where when the Pharaoh got to know that Prophet Musa and all his people who are believing in God are leaving, he got very threatened, and he's like, no, I'm not going to let them leave, I'm going to kill them. So he's like running after them, and they're running ahead, and they finally come to the Red Sea. And the Red Sea is right there, and they can't go, and except that then Allah tells Prophet Musa that throw your stick in the
Strike the sea with your staff, and then it parted.
Yes, then it parted. Okay, then it parted, the Red Sea opens. He goes inside. Okay, they all come out on the other side. However, the Pharaoh and everyone, they're like, whoa, what just happened? That's like a humongous miracle, right?
The Pharaoh was boastful, and he said, look, the sea has parted on my command. He considered that he had done it, and when they were in the middle, the sea fell on them.
Exactly. And the sea started, as they proceeded towards the middle, the sea, it convened, it converged again, and that was the end of the Pharaoh. Acha, then what happens, just to give you a little bit of context of what happens when the Hazrat Musa, Prophet Musa...
the place they were going to was towards Sinai, Mount Sinai. It's also called Mount 2, where Musa was given, where Musa talked to Allah. That's where they were heading towards.
Okay, I think that's correct. Near this mountain of Sinai, yeah, that one. And just to again give you, like I was saying, this is what I was going to say myself, that to give you context, that when they left this Israel, when they left that place, Jerusalem and Israel, they went towards Mount Sinai, which, okay, makes sense. And those were the moments where during this exodus, now they've been exiled, they've left. So, an exodus, by the way, means something good. It doesn't mean like something bad. Like exodus means something good. Like I'm saying exile, that they got exiled. But actually, exodus doesn't mean exile exactly. It means like a freeing, when you're free. When you're free from something. So they got free from the Pharaoh, okay? Although they left themselves.
Exodus means like a mass departure, like a migration.
Yeah, but it usually is a good thing. It's a good thing that you're saved, you're relieved. So they're relieved when they reach here. 8 days of Passover are what? They are those 8 days, so called, when the Prophet Musa was leaving the Pharaoh's land, and he went through all these hardships, right? One being the Red Sea, and then finally he's out on Mount Sinai, where he gets the commandments, where manna and all those things happen, and where they live and restart their settlement, okay, restart building their lives over there. So that's another story, but this is what the Passover is all about. And they give thanks. Like, for example, we give thanks to God on Eid that Prophet Prophet Isa was not sacrificed, right? He was not sacrificed. No, what? Prophet Ismail. Sorry, Prophet Ismail.
Yes,
Prophet Ismail was not
son
sacrificed.
Ismail.
Yeah. So we are really thankful that, oh, it's the goat that was sacrificed, or the sheep that was sacrificed, and so we're going to sacrifice a sheep as well. So anyway, now the 8 days of Passover. Now you must remember one thing, that again there is this. It's almost like they're wearing blinkers, and I'm going to show you blinkers on horses. Now, blinkers on horses are what? They are, I don't know if you guys have seen horses, but they have these kind of blinkers on them.
Miss, the reason is that the horses, they can look only in a forward direction, not side to side, so they will only move in a straight line. They won't move side to side.
Okay, so the thing is, when you're like, especially in very traffic area, right? Sometimes I've seen, not very recently, but in Karachi, some of the policemen are not on their cars, but they're on horses these days. I think in Clifton area, they are on horses. So these horses have to have blinkers. Why? Because what the blinkers do is, it like narrows your vision. Okay, so like the horse, because like our eyes are like centered here, but the horse's eyes are kind of like on this area. So like they're kind of like here, so they can see the sides also and can see this also. So they're kind of on this side of your face, where the tilt comes. Where the tilt is. So where there's a curvature, so because of the curve, they can kind of see the whole thing. So when you put the blinkers, you actually like close the sides vision, and you just let them see forward. Why? Because then what happens is they can't see the flashing lights, they can't see the cars coming, they can't see anything. They only can be very dutiful and very obedient and just go forward, and they don't get scared. And especially in battle, okay? Battle horses, like you will see battle horses, they like always are wearing blinkers. Like they always are wearing blinkers. Why? Why do you think they would be wearing blinkers? Because poor things are most probably going to end up killed, okay? Going to be
if they need to wear the blinkers, so they don't turn away from the straight direction, because that could be difficult for the soldier to attack.
Yeah, obviously, and there's blood, and there are those swords, and there's that glint of steel, and there's a reflection of the steel, and all these things that can distract them. So like they just make them wear blinkers. You don't get distracted, you just go straight ahead and get to your death, pretty much. So it's like these people are wearing blinkers. They're just not looking in all the directions. They just wanting to look forward and look at what they want to see. So they're seeing that the weather is really nice. Oh, the 8 days of Passover. Oh, it's a time of celebration. Oh, it's such a nice weather. And the mother is busy in the kitchen. The synagogues were no longer open, but people gathered in private homes. No need to provoke the Germans. Okay, things are really nice. Like we drank, we ate, we sang. The Bible commands us to rejoice during the 8 days of celebration, but our hearts were not in it. Okay, so they're doing all the good stuff, because they're kind of almost like putting their blinkers, yet the verdict was out. Remember, they said the verdict was out. So they have closed their mosques, pretty much. Like the mosques that we have, they've closed their synagogues. And instead, they're just now doing private worship inside their homes, because they don't want to annoy the Germans in any way. They don't want to make the Germans upset. They don't want that the Germans come into their synagogues. And so the rabbis' homes became house of prayers, where the imams of these Jews lived, the rabbis in those locations, they started to pray there. And they did all these things, but their hearts were not in it. We wish the holiday would end so as not to have to pretend. Because what are they pretending? They're pretending that they're happy. They're pretending that they're celebrating. But underneath, there is this tension. And on the seventh day, the seventh out of eight, okay, 8 day, the curtain finally rose. No more is the blinkers on, okay? No more the blinkers. Now nobody can have blinkers anymore, okay? Because the curtain is, the cat is out of the bag. And what happens? The Germans, they arrested the leaders of the Jewish community. So that's it. They arrested them. That's it. So that's how it started. No, well, that's not how it started, but that's kind of the day that nobody could turn a blind eye. From that moment on, everything happened so quickly, very quickly, the race toward death had begun. First edict. Jews were prohibited from leaving their residences for 3 days under penalty of death. Edict ka word very specific hota hai. It is kind of a religious command. Like edict of God. Like what is one edict that we have? One edict that we have is that Tawheed, right? We have Tawheed. Then we have like another edict is 5-time prayer at the given time, right? 5 namaz. And then another edict is Ramadan and give a fast in the month. So these edicts, however, are like religious commands, but are these actually like the commands that were given by God? No, these are the ones that they're saying are given by the German soldiers to the Jews. Like that's how serious these rules were. And what is that first religious kind of commandment that they have given to the Jews? That, hey, you dare not leave your residence. Don't leave your house for 3 days, because if you will be killed. If you will be killed. Simple सी बात है. 3 दिन के लिए आप नहीं निकल सकते. You will be killed. Now, a lot of us have gone through, in fact, all of us have gone through a lockdown, right? And in the lockdown, a lot of things were open. Grocery stores were open, hospitals were open, a lot of things like that were open, right? So, and yet it was such a trying time. It was such a trying time for all of us. Like, we were so unhappy in our homes and so stressed out in our homes, despite the fact that we knew it had nothing to do with us, like in a sense, like we were not going to be killed out, and yet we did feel like we would be killed if we left. And lots of people also died, right? So you can try to relate to what those moments were when they have been told 3 days you dare not leave. And you can imagine that there could be, there's no Daraz, there's no Amazon, there's none of that, where no credit cards, okay, no even huge fridges and freezers where you like store stuff. What if you just don't have that day's grocery? And these people are not very rich, that they have larders and pantries full of food. What if they don't have food? What if there's a child inside who's unwell? What if there's a person who's unwell? What if there's an accident? What if there's a heart attack? What if? Well, you can't leave. You just cannot leave. And when I mean you cannot leave, then I mean you cannot leave. It's not like our lockdown, okay, that happened in Pakistan, where people were leaving. Okay, day and night people were leaving, and people were not wearing masks and all of that fun stuff. Muish the beadle came running to our house. I warned you, he shouted, and left without waiting for a response. He runs away. He's like, I told you. The same day, the Hungarian police burst into every Jewish home in town. A Jew, just imagine, your own police. That means your country, because Sighet is in Hungary. Your own country has been taken over by. It's pretty clear, because see, the first time, how did we know that Hungary was taken over by Germans? Because
The people going into Jewish houses.
when they were billeted in the Jewish homes, we knew that they had been taken over. And now the Hungarian police, which is your own police, which has been protecting you, the Jews, the whole time, is now against you, and in fact is bursting into every house. And how is it starting? It's starting that you cannot own any gold. So any gold that the Jews had is being taken away. You cannot own any gold, which, by the way, people, they keep gold for daughters, for their sons. They hoard gold. Like you hoard gold. I'm sure all of your mothers have like a stash, a secret stash. It's secret, isn't it? Like it's somewhere. It's somewhere. It's in your safe. It's in the bank. It's in the locker. Like you cannot say to me that you don't have it. Like it's just not possible. So gold is something that has had value since forever. Like since forever. Would I say diamonds have value? Even like today, it's questionable how much value diamonds have. Rubies, like rubies, okay, there are other like morganite, moissanites, all these stones, all these things, platinum, rhodium. Let's talk about them now. But gold, because gold was the only thing that existed before. No diamonds, no none of that. It was just gold, 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 gold. Like even back in the day of the Prophet Muhammad, it was all about gold. Okay, and that is why that if you see a zakat, your zakat, right? When you have to give zakat, you give it on gold. Do you give it on your diamonds? No, because there are lots of reasons for that. One of them is that it's not valuable. Another thing is it didn't exist as such. Like yeah, they were in the rock, but nobody like had any appreciation for them. Nobody really cared about them. They were not being mined like so. So like if you have gold, you're stuck because you're like, oh, I have to give zakat on it. Although you shouldn't have these sentiments, you should be happy to give your zakat, but whatever, ठीक है. So अब ये है कि gold उनका ले रहे हैं जो के has historical heritage value, that it goes from legacy to legacy. No jewelry, gold jewelry, or any valuables whatsoever. Everything had to be handed over to the authorities under penalty of death. Why is everything under penalty of death? Like, why can't you just incarcerate them? Okay, you hate them that much, just put them in jail. No, under penalty of death. Like, it just starts with penalty of death. My father went down to the cellar and buried our savings. That's what he did. You can't have a single thing. As for my mother, she went on tending to the many chores in the house. Sometimes she would stop and gaze at us in silence. What do you think she must be thinking? Nail, what do you think she must be thinking as she's gazing at us in silence?
Or I don't really get it, like why she's gazing at them.
Hello?
Like if she's gazing, I don't get it what she means by gazing at them in silence.
na.
Like she was thinking about something.
Gazing at them, Nail means looking at them.
She's
Looking
staring at them, so she's probably thinking about something. So of
Or
course,
I know what gazing means, but like, who is she gazing at?
At the children, at her kids, at us, na?
So she's probably thinking about her children's future.
Thinking कि इनका क्या बनेगा? What's going to happen to them? Are they going to be okay? Will this survive? Oh no. Will we be a family again? Remember, we had discussed this long time back, and I don't remember this by heart now, but Eli, the child, he has 2-3 siblings. His mother and his sister he never saw. His father he saw, and I think one of his brothers he saw afterwards. But he never saw his mother and sister the minute Abhi, the story is going to happen. Na? So the minute that's going to happen, that they're going to be taken to the concentration camp, never sees them again. Never. Which means that they probably died. So yeah. So anyway, as for my mother, she would stare at us sometimes. 3 days later, a new decree. Again, look at the word decree. Like it's an order. It's an order. It's a high commandment that every Jew has to wear the yellow star. I don't know. But let me tell you one thing. Like this Star of David, a lot of Jews used to wear. Like it was just like, this is our holy sign. This is our holy symbol. Like I don't know if you guys have ever wore Allah necklace. We wear it, right? Sometimes we wear it. Sometimes we wear other things also, like Islamic type of things. See, this one's so pretty. This one's so pretty. Sometimes you're wearing them in your ears also. Although some people say that you should avoid doing this. Like you should avoid wearing it. Some people wear this Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is type ka. They also were just generally wearing the Star of David. It was just something they liked to wear, the Jews. And it looked nice and it was a symbol. But suddenly this symbol has become like so problematic that like you have to wear it. And then when you have to wear it, then what it represents is that you're like the worst of society. I mean, it's pretty weird. Like suddenly if we have to wear Allah over here to be ostracized, to be like treated badly, that would be problematic for anybody. Right?
But
God forbid.
Sunnis believe that's not even allowed Sunnis believe we're not even allowed to wear these necklaces or these robes. But Shias, they believe that it should be worn hidden. You can wear, but it should be hidden.
I think everyone has their own viewpoint on this, but I personally feel that we should avoid it because I don't know. I don't think we need to make like decoration pieces out of Allah's
The
name.
Sunnis don't allow it.
No, they do.
In
They
Sun-
do. No, they do. In fact, they do
Arham?
wear, but it's just my opinion that I would prefer not to. Yes.
Arham, but over here in Dubai, like every girl with a necklace has it.
Yeah, I know. Like even in Karachi and Pakistan, we do, but it's a very like orthodox thinking. It's very, in fact, some people would say that Bisarham, you have a really closed mind. Like you have a closed mind. You're a big fundamental. You're like a fundo. You're an extremist. You're very, backward minded. But I just personally would avoid it. Like that's how I put it. I'm not saying, and Hudaib, you're wrong when you say that Sunnis don't allow it. Sunnis have no issue. Some people avoid, and it's a very small issue, I think. One of the, I just wouldn't feel comfortable wearing it. Like, it's something that I would say that Allah's name, and this should not be made into decoration pieces, like decoration, and it just kind of seems to be going against the spirit of how majestic and also how
It's like
scary.
showing off. We are trying to show off how much.
It's yeah, like no, I don't even think like that. I just think that God is very majestic and he's also very scary. Let's be honest, okay? Allah is scary, okay? He's scary like anything.
Ma'am,
So yeah,
if you wear that necklace of like Allah, like just my opinion, if you wear it and you go to the bathroom with it, I don't think that's too.
exactly. Like you want to avoid it. But for me, even that's not such a big deal. It's just like more of a conceptual thing than anything. It doesn't sit with me nicely. This is Allah you're talking about, okay? You can't. I mean, like, you know how they say don't take God's name is in vain? Like, don't just keep saying his name for no reason. Like, oh, I swear to God. Like, some people don't even like when you say, oh, Allah ki kasam. Like, don't say that on normal, stupid things. Like, kasam khao. Like, it's about just a kind of respect that you had. Okay, no, I don't want to make it part of my jewelry, which is like for me to look good. Come on, no, that's not how it is. So anyway, that's my opinion. But the problem here is that the Jews, this same sign that they really liked, that they wore the same way that we wear the, Allah sign or the Muhammad sign or, the ring or whatever. And
Because
it's suddenly
actually, even
worse thing.
if it's allowed to wear, you should not show it off, because some people they just wear it to show it off, and that is forbidden in Islam. Like they don't, and when they reach home, they just take it off.
I've never
That's
heard
why
of these people.
that's
Honestly, I have
something-
never heard of these people who do it to show off. I don't think anyone does it to show off. Honestly, I don't think
Because
anyone
there
does it
are
to show off.
hypocrites in Islam. We have hypocrites in Islam, and those people do it.
I don't know. I don't know. I can't say if anyone's a hypocrite or not. I would avoid saying that. But like obviously some people hote hain. Of course they must be, but I don't know any of them. And if someone is wearing them, I would never think that they're doing it for that reason. I would think that, they want to feel close to Allah. And in fact that's the
But we
reason
should
that they
just
wear it.
ignore it. We should just
Yeah.
try to ignore it.
Yeah, okay, let's just get out of this conversation. Okay, now the thing is, 3 days later, new decree, you have to wear it. Okay, you have to wear it. Bas. So, firstly, 3 days, you better stay in your home. Okay, now, if 3 days later, like, okay, now 3 days have passed, so you can come out of your home, you dare not without wearing the sign of David, the Star of David. So some very prominent or important members of the community came to consult with my father, who had connections at the upper levels of the Hungarian police. They wanted to know what he thought of the situation. My father's view was that it was not all bleak, or perhaps he just did not want to discourage the others to throw salt on their wounds. The yellow star, so what? It's not lethal. Oh, father, of what then did you die? Such a lovely, beautiful, and sad sentences these are. That remember, they're living in Hungary. Sighet is in Hungary, right? So now, like we've been living, I want to do this discussion later, maybe next class.